My name is Jennifer Ruffin, Jen Ruffin. I have been here 6 years at the Autism Center for Child Development, and I'm a clinical supervisor of training and transition programs, long name. We're working on it, but I help with training all the staff and then helping kind of transition us and help us grow. So I kind of help do that, and then I am there to help with all the clinical stuff too. So I do a little bit of all the things. Yeah, but it's fun. I love it. So.
Good. So Wedgwood's Autism Center for Child Development, or ACCD, works with young children with autism spectrum disorders. Can you share a little bit about who these kids are and what a day at ACCD might look like?
Yes. So the kids we see at our center they can be anywhere from 18 months to 6 for our early intervention. And usually by the time they get to us, they're like 2.5, 3. So they get referred from all over. And so we have all different kinds of kids there, mostly diagnosed with autism, spectrum disorder. Some can have other developmental disabilities as well. And then we started seeing 8 to kind of 12-year-olds too, to do some more focused type skills. So they might not be here every day or all day. And then some after school stuff too. So our little kids, though, they're there about 40 hours a week, depending. Some can be less, depending on what they need. And so they work on communication, daily living skills, social skills, play, so all the things they might need once they leave us. And then a typical day at the ACCD.
I'm sure there's not really one.
I said no, every day is different, but it's a lot of fun. So the kids come usually at 8 or 9 and are awesome behavior technicians. They are amazing. They kind of work one-to-one with kids all day, and they pick them up from their families, and then they start getting to work right away. So they'll work on, each kid has their own kind of skills they work on that their clinician kind of drafts and does goals and all that fun stuff. And they work on that all day, and then the kids switch techs throughout the day, so they get used to working with other people because you have to be around a lot of people. And then they play, and we have circle time, learning group, and lunch, obviously, and all the fun things, and then they go home. But a lot of our kids are there all day, every day, 5 days a week, so they work really hard. But yes, it's never the same.
Yeah.
Every day is different, and it gets kind of wild sometimes, but that's okay.
Yes, well, that age group, they're kind of
they are
all over the place.
Lots of fun. Lots of like monster, and one of our clinicians, Audrey, she does the best monster ever. So she's going to hear this. Be like, oh God. But yeah, she's awesome. So lots of yelling, lots of fun, and then also you have crying and stuff like that too. But yeah.
Yeah, there was a reason we're doing this podcast here on our main campus and not up at the Autism Center.
I know.
It would be a little hard to find a quiet spot.
I was like, I know you're not coming here because you'll hear everything and all those like coops coming down, the like cozy coops coming down the wall. It's so loud. So I was like, yes, I'll come to you.
So why is early intervention and getting kids involved in services from a young age so important?
Everyone hears this all the time. Kids are like little sponges, so they soak up all the information and everything they might need. But one big difference between our kids and, other out there might be that they don't get as much of those learning opportunities. So we kind of give that to them so that they get all that extra help they need for when they leave us. So it's super important to kind of get them on a different track than they might have been on if they didn't come see us. So yeah, the earlier the better. Give them all the help, all the skills, all the info, and then hopefully that helps them when they go on to school and when they leave us. So,
So you talked about this a little bit. Can you explain a little bit about what your specific role is? So you said you are training some of the staff. So what sort of training are you doing? What sort of staff are you training? What does that look like?
Yeah, so I started out as one of our techs and then did my supervision and kind of worked my way up. So I did a little bit of everything. And that kind of led me to the role I'm in now. So it's kind of composed of all those fun things. But the training part deals with getting all of our applied behavior technicians, that's their like official title, ready to go and work one-to-one, because applied behavior analysis is therapy, and it's complicated, and it uses a lot of data collection and specific skills. So it can be really overwhelming because a lot of people don't have that experience when they come. So me and my supervisor, Haley Bloom, is awesome. She's one of the tech trainers, and she kind of makes it all happen for me too. But we start training them the day they come in. And so they get trained in everything you would need because we work towards a registered behavior technician credential, because everybody gets credentialed, which is a legit credential in our field. So they're definitely prepared. Kind of they already know they have to kind of be pushed out a little bit. But so we start their training when they come in, we get them ready to go on the floor 1-to-1, and then the training doesn't stop because we're supervised all the time, every day, every hour. Their supervisors are around, and so it continues on and on and on. And that's kind of what I oversee and what I participate in, which is just a lot of talking to staff. Checking in. And then the other side of my job is kind of with we call them transition programs, but it deals with our program growth. So we recently, before COVID, sadly, got approval to do a social skills group. So for our older kids, and it basically deals with social skills that you would need geared towards when they're in school and out in the world. And then we got some approval to do a summer camp, which is kind of similar. On hold because of COVID, but it will be awesome. And then recently, we're going to kind of see the 8 to 12-year-olds after school. So I'm kind of helping facilitate all of that and keep it going.
Yeah. So you just
keep it happening.
Do a few things.
I do.
So when people come to work at the Autism Center, they don't necessarily need to have all the credentials before they get there. You help prepare them for the job.
Yes. Yep. They don't. A lot of people that come work for us were either just graduated and maybe special education or psych or counseling, and they want to work with kind of our population and get experience, but they don't have any. So you don't need any experience. We help you.
Great.
We help everyone get to where they need to be. It takes a while. We tell them it takes like 6 months to fully be ready. And they're like, oh no, but they get there.
Yeah. It sounds like it's a well-supported team though.
Yeah, we try. It gets hard because you can't give everyone everything, even though I want to, but it's pretty, we try. We try really hard. Probably more than anywhere I've ever been. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I know, right?
So what drew you to working with kids with autism, and what brought you to Wedgwood?
Oh, so I worked at residential in East Lansing, and I wasn't there very long because I moved, but I met a girl, younger girl, she was like 11, and she was diagnosed with autism, and she was in their 5 to 12-year-old unit, which is where I worked, and there just wasn't, I basically Googled how to change behavior, which nobody do if you're really looking to find your path. But I worked with her, and they didn't really have any intervention or anything to do like before she had problem behavior. And I just remember sitting there and kind of talking to her and seeing like what she was thinking and how she was thinking. And I was just like, oh, well, do this. And then it happened. So it's kind of like one of those things where you just happen to meet someone that changed your life. So this little girl kind of geared me towards children with autism. I've always known I wanted to work with kids, everything I've done. So that kind of helped. But yeah, she changed my world. And then I found, like I said, I Googled. Don't do that usually. And then I found applied behavior analysis, and a lot of ABA work is geared towards autism. It's used in a lot of different settings, but it's most popular for autism. So then I worked in South Carolina for a little while, and then my family's here, so we moved back, and I just, once again, Googled centers in Michigan and Grand Rapids, and Wedgwood popped up, and I saw that one Christian organization, so hopefully, right? I've learned now, yes, it's true, but that they kind of have those values with what they do. So I was like, okay, cool. And then the Autism Center I saw was brand new, which I was I love building things. So I saw Dr. Lake on there and that it had opened a year ago. And so I was like, sweet. So I applied and then they called me and then here I am.
So did you start when the Autism Center was still on main campus, or were you up at the center when you started?
So I started, it took like a few months for me to start, but they were moving into the new building. Okay. So I've seen the old building where it started in the room because I had a meeting in there and I looked around. They're like, this used to be the autism room. And I was like, oh my gosh, because it was like the size of this. And now we're a whole half of a building.
So what is your favorite part of your job? Sounds like you do a lot, but what's your favorite part?
Oh, I probably have, I don't know, maybe a few. One, the kids. They're awesome. Kids are just bring something to life that adults kind of lose along the way. Mm-hmm. And our kids, we just watch them learn and grow all the time. So, and they're just so happy and mm-hmm. fun. And so that part I love. And then our behavior techs. I have a soft spot and never want any of them to leave. And they know this, even though I know they have to go on their way and I support them. But seeing people come in and kind of see that joy that I see and get to know the kids and stuff like that, that's one of my favorite parts. Mm-hmm. And then our team. That's kind of geared towards the ACCD, but the clinical team and the other BCBAs and behavior tech trainer and Dr. Lake, it's a very fun place to work. Mm-hmm. So I really love them all. So that's part of it too. So probably that little triangle.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah.
And I mean, it sounds like it's always pretty fun up there, but I imagine that sometimes it's not super easy.
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you and your team face?
Oh, man. So our techs, I can talk about their challenges because mm-hmm. the kids obviously are learning and it's not easy for them. And right. So they can have a lot of different reactions to that, from crying for an hour to hitting and kicking and biting. They're smaller, so it's not as bad, but it still can be a shock and new for our techs as well. And, you know, in general, working every day, 7 hours a day with kids where you might have 2 hours where you're being hit all the time. Then you might have 2 hours where everything's fine and it's fun and nothing. And then you might have a kid cry for like an hour mm-hmm. at the end of the day. And so they deserve all the credit in the world. But that's definitely one thing that can be super challenging. For myself, it's definitely challenging to just do all the things mm-hmm. and kind of keep everyone happy and going. And then winter hits and, you know, people right. are like, oh God.
Yeah.
But so that part can be challenging too, keeping everyone excited. But for the most part, we have a good team. Mm-hmm. So we kind of get through it at the end of the day and then go home, go to sleep, and then come back. And you're like, okay, new day, mm-hmm. new time. So
yeah,
it's good. Yeah.
So what keeps you motivated and helps keep you going on those tough days?
Oh, having a good team. Mm-hmm. Because if I have a really hard time, I can go talk to anyone. Our techs are very encouraging. So if I'm crying, it's a rough day, and mm-hmm. I was hit, then I'll just go and talk to like one of our clinicians. Or if it is a huge workload or something comes up on me, I'm not the best at delegating, but I'm getting there. Mm-hmm. So I've learned to just spread it around so that people can help me. And then Dr. Lake is super big on like working and then going home and living your life. So kind of that cutoff too helps deal with that stress, mm-hmm. which I'm also not the best at, but
yeah, I'm
getting there.
Yeah, because you have to take time to refill because you can't pour yes. from an empty cup.
No, definitely not. So those are probably the biggest challenges, and then how you kind of have to deal with them. But mm-hmm. definitely work support.
Yeah,
it's huge because if you do have anything happen, you usually can yell for someone to come help, and they will mm-hmm. most of the time. So that's big because I've been places where that does not happen at all. So yeah.
What do you think makes Wedgwood a unique and special place?
Oh, man. Wedgwood is definitely unique. I have had the privilege to work with a lot of people outside of the ACCD, too. So I've kind of gotten to know the like beliefs and how people feel working at Wedgwood on a bigger level.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's just so nice, so passionate. They all want to do all the good work, and they work really hard with what we have. And sometimes that's not a lot at a nonprofit. So everyone's super great, which is awesome. And then at the ACCD, the culture there is super special. The like support and what we have to work with and how supervisors act and just treating staff with dignity, and then the amount of work that goes into the client's treatment is just like nothing else I've seen or been a part of at any of the other places I've worked. So it's definitely unique to Wedgwood and special. And then with Wedgwood being a Christian organization, they really bring it to the rest of it. So it's not just we're a Christian organization and then you don't really implement it or have that happen. So everybody I've met here shares those same values. I know I was just talking to friends in the hallway too. So everyone's super friendly. So Wedgwood's definitely unique in that way because you don't find that very often.
How do you see God moving at Wedgwood and in the Autism Center?
Oh, every day. These kids and staff come in, especially with COVID this past year. They come in every day. They work hard every day, and you still see growth, and you still see these kids growing, and you still see them achieving what they need to achieve. If they are having issues, then staff work with clinicians to help with it. And so that type of work, I don't think would happen to its highest capabilities without having God work through it. So all the time, basically.
Yeah. You've had your hand in making a meaningful difference in the lives of many kids and their families, but is there a story that you'll never forget?
Oh, man. There's a lot of them. It's kind of different. You kind of have the stories where you have a kid who comes in, doesn't have communication skills, you work really hard, and then they say mom for the first time. So you always have those stories. Everyone's going to know what I'm talking about because that one was big at our center. And then you have kids who don't eat anything and you kind of work really hard and then they do, and parents are happy because they have a better diet. So those are big ones. But my favorite is when the kids come in and they don't have those communication skills and they don't have a lot of the ways to kind of say what they want or get what they want, and you can just tell that they're not happy, for lack of a better word. Like their life is not fulfilled to the best of like their capabilities. So my favorite moments are when they come in like that and then you see them change slowly to where they're laughing and playing with you when maybe they didn't even want to look at you. And so my favorite moments are those smaller ones, and then seeing them just singing or dancing to Rihanna, one of my favorite kids, didn't care, and then had a favorite song by the end of the time.
Oh.
Yeah, so that one's probably big. And then one other one that is my favorite, this child just graduated, but nonverbal when they started, didn't really interact with anyone. Made like 2 noises when we did the first assessment, and then before they left, they sang Paw Patrol lyrics with me, which I know doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a lot for that situation. Yeah. So that was fun. That's got to be one of my favorites too.
That's so sweet.
But yeah, I like the little moments.
Yeah, well, and how encouraging too to find such joy in the little moments when sometimes the little things are all you get for a day, and you can find the joy in that. That's so great. Is there something about Wedgwood's Autism Center or kids with autism spectrum disorders that you think people would be surprised to know?
Probably that they're awesome. They're funny. They have their own personalities. They like their own things. A lot of people can kind of pigeonhole autism into one thing, but they're all different. And it's a lot of fun getting to know each and every one of them. So definitely that's a big one that I would think. And then the Autism Center, I mean, I always tell everyone to come visit because it's fun. And we're separate in the separate campus. Yeah. So I'm always like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. You should come to the Autism Center and visit. And they're like, who are you? But it's just a real fun place to work. So that's definitely unique too. And the staff, everyone supports me so much. So hopefully I support them too. But
It's funny. Dr. Lake said the same thing when I asked her what would surprise people. She was like, that the kids are awesome.
Yeah,
So,
because it's true.
it must be true.
I think a lot of people, some people can be afraid or they don't know how to interact. And so something surprising is you just treat them like you would any other kid, and you would kind of see that.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath it all, they are. It's just society has a different flow than them. So, and we just kind of help them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely they're awesome.
Where are you seeing hope and finding joy lately?
Personally, just in my family.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son. He's 4, and he still growing and thriving and causing me lots of stress. But me and my husband, so watching that and my husband grow and stuff, and be on his own journey too,
Mm-hmm.
and me continuing on mine. So that's kind of one way that I see growth and joy.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the center, probably the same thing, having everyone grow. It's kind of how I find joy at work, to keep coming back to work. And then at home, relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Netflix.
Of course.
Go, I don't know, movies, food. I love food.
Yeah.
So it's the way to my heart. But yeah, we won't get into all that.
Well, thank you so much for sharing and for joining us for this Wedgwood Coffee Break conversation today. We appreciate you taking the time and appreciate your dedication to the kids at the ACCD and their families. You are truly making a difference. So thank you.